U.S. economy is headed for an ultra rare type of recession. That's at least what they're saying over at BlackRock. And before we jump into that real quick, my name is Christopher Uhl, and I love talking about stocks and finding those outlier trades with outsized returns. And if you are interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And today's episode is sponsored by Outlier.com. Go to OVTLYR.com to find out why outliers win. So, looking at this, right, the U.S. economy is in for roller coaster inflation that could be headed for an ultra rare full employment recession. Just a couple days ago, we were talking about how Jerome Powell says, "Hey, there's no recession on the horizon. You guys are crazy. Don't be thinking about that." Well, let's see what they're saying over at BlackRock. Let me zoom this in a little bit for you. Consumers are shifting their spending from goods to services, leading to deflation in goods. But at the same time, the labor market remains tight, leading to wage inflation as workers demand higher wages. So let's break this down. Consumers are shifting their spending from goods to services. That is planned. That is what they wanted. That was intentional. The reason being is, for example, let's say you want to go out and buy a car today. The average new car rate is over 8% to finance that car. A couple years ago, that was down at 3%. So basically, the average car now costs 3 times more to finance than it did a couple years ago. Now, consumers are looking at this saying, I can't afford a new car. And companies are saying, people aren't buying our cars. What are we going to do? And you've been seeing this with automakers especially. They're starting to lower their prices. They're starting to put out incentives. They're starting to deflate the price of their assets in order to stimulate more people purchasing them, because it's gotten a lot harder to buy those when the financing has gotten more expensive. That's exactly why they raise rates, to cause companies to lower their prices in order for people to be able to afford those goods that they once were able to afford. That's what they're trying to do, and that's what we're seeing out there. Now, like he says, leading to deflation in goods. But at the same time, the labor market remains tight. Thankfully, we aren't into a place of rampant unemployment just yet. We're not there. And so what we're looking at actually is called a stagflation, where we're looking at high inflation without having the resulting impact on the labor market, where there's a lot of unemployment. So we're looking at stagflation, what they're calling an ultra rare full employment recession. And people are actually demanding higher wages. And who wouldn't be, right? We're talking about how everything is more expensive. Cars are more expensive than they used to be. Houses. You can't go to the grocery store without spending an arm and a leg and your firstborn child at the same time. Things are getting more expensive, yet at the same time, inflation has not caught up to wages. And so people are really having this cost of living crisis where they're saying, I want to buy stuff, but it costs so much more. It costs so much more to finance it. I can't afford it. I need the company to bring down the prices. And then on the other end of the spectrum, they're like, hey man, it'd be a lot easier to afford those higher prices if I made more, but my employer's not making any more for me. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle. And so this is the cost of living crisis that we're seeing across every sector out there. And this could spell volatility for stocks. High inflation can erode corporate profits, and falling inflation may weigh on commodity prices. So what they're saying here is that there's a chance to have both of these issues come into play. And realistically speaking, what do we want to see? We want to see prices come back down. We want to see the 2% that we had been so used to for so long with the Fed's mandate of 2% be the norm once again. But in reality, I don't think it would be such a bad thing to have a few consecutive quarters of deflation. But keep in mind that if we have deflation, that could spiral out of control very quickly. And I say spiral out of control because let's say you're ready to go buy that car and it's a $50,000 car today. And if you wait a couple months, it'll be $45,000. If you wait a couple months, it'll be $30,000. And then at some point you decide, you know what, I'm just going to put this off. I want to see how low it goes. And then nobody buys anything and the whole economy comes to a screeching halt. We don't actually want to see that, but we do want to see prices come back down. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that we're headed for this ultra rare type of recession? Or do you think that this is overblown? We're not actually going to have a recession. That's literally what we talked about on Monday's episode, because Jerome Powell said, we're not going to have a recession. And now we're having lots of other people saying, yeah, we are. And we're probably already in one. And who knows how much worse this could get. But also, be sure to smash that like button. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that you like this kind of content.